The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
Throughout the past week, government reshuffles have been ongoing. Early in the week, the head of the government in exile of Abkhazia resigned. Then the prosecutor general was replaced and appointed as the chief auditor. The chief auditor returned to the Ministry of Finance as a deputy minister. The former prosecutor general is expected to become the chief prosecutor of Tbilisi and will appoint future deputies after parliamentary approval. Robin Danigan, the US ambassador to Georgia, was unable to reconcile with the situation either back home in the United States or during her assignment in Georgia and decided to step down early. She has chosen to leave public service and retire. She will officially leave Georgia in July. Thanks, Madam Ambassador. The news of the US ambassador's resignation coincided with the presence of an International Monetary Fund mission in Georgia. The delegation spent 2 weeks in the country, conducted work, and concluded by stating, "We don't know when or even if there will be an IMF program in Georgia." They noted that there are numerous issues to address in the economy and financial system, but overall Georgia is doing okay. It's in shape and has buffers prepared for potential risks. Their parting advice: avoid sanctions, avoid drama, said the IMF economists. As of May 2025, Georgia's international foreign exchange reserves increased by $66.7 million and reached $4.6 billion according to statistics from the National Bank of Georgia. This figure is nearly the same as it was a year ago, just only $14 million less. Geostat also published its annual inflation report for May 2025, showing that annual inflation reached 3.5% last month. This is 0.1% higher than in April. According to Geostat, the biggest contributors were the food and non-alcoholic beverages categories, where prices rose by 8.3%. Healthcare also saw a price increase with an annual rise of 9%. The Ministry of Finance released preliminary data on tax collection for the 5 months of 2025. A total of 8.9 billion Georgian lari in taxes was collected, which accounts for 40% of the annual target of 21.9 billion Georgian lari. Compared to the same period in 2024, tax collection increased by 4%, or 323 million Georgian lari. Meanwhile, we learned that Basis Bank is buying Liberty Bank. According to a source at BMG, the deal is expected to close in a few weeks. However, the exact scale of Basis Bank acquisition of Liberty Bank is still unknown. As Liberty Bank shareholder Irakli Rukhadze told BMG, negotiations were and still are active, and the parties are getting closer in their positions, but whether the deal will ultimately go through remains uncertain. Another legal dispute ended quite quickly in Georgia. On May 20, 2025, Georgia's Supreme Court ruled that the online gambling company Spribe had violated the copyright of the company Aviator. The dispute centered around several gambling games using the name Aviator that were hosted on the Ajarabet website with Spribe's technical support. Moreover, Ajarabet's parent company Flutter had also marketed Aviator's branded games in international markets. In short, we'll be following this story both locally and globally. This sector, along with its private oversight and the broader industry, is at the forefront of many ongoing discussions in Georgia. Meanwhile, while President Trump and Elon Musk are busy quarreling, BMG continues to grow steadily. According to Google and Google Analytics, in May 2025, articles on the website BMG were read 3.2 million times. That's a 43% increase compared to the same period last year. In total, 560,000 unique readers visited the site, an 8.5% year-on-year growth.
This is The Checkpoint. I'm Elena Guangilashvili, author and the host of the show, and the Checkpoint's team is ready to sum up business and economics week for you. The International Monetary Fund has increased its 2025 economic growth forecast for Georgia following a comprehensive review of the country's recent economic performance outlook and potential risks. The IMF highlighted that Georgia continues to maintain strong economic momentum. Real GDP grew by 9.4% in 2024. Despite domestic political tensions, growth was driven by consumption, marking a shift from previous years when investment and net exports were the main contributors. Tourism rebounded to pre-COVID levels, while the information and communications technology and transport sectors remained key drivers of growth, continuing to benefit from high-skilled migrants and transit trade. The unemployment rate continued to decline, albeit remaining structurally high, the IMF highlighted. Therefore, the International Monetary Fund indicates that the strong growth observed in the first 4 months of 2025 suggests the country's economy is on track to expand by 7.2% this year. Here are the main statements from the IMF mission chief.
Let me briefly summarize the key findings of our missions and some of the recommendations. So Georgia's economy has shown remarkable resilience despite heightened domestic and global uncertainty. Real GDP growth grew by 9.4% in 2024, driven by strong consumption, a rebound in tourism, and continued expansion of the IT and transport sectors. In 2025, we project growth to moderate to 7.2%, but this is in fact an upward revision from our previous estimate that was 6%. For the medium term, we expect that growth will converge to Georgia's growth potential of around 5%. With respect to inflation, it has remained close to the target, despite some recent pressures regarding food prices. Headline inflation was below the 3% target for the past 2 years and has recently risen somewhat above the target, but we expect that it will converge back to the target in 2026. When you look at inflation, excluding some of the volatile elements like fuel and food, inflation is still at 2%, what we call core inflation. So it's still below the target. On the external position, we have seen improvements. The current account deficit narrowed to 4.4% of GDP last year, and we expect that this something similar to happen in 2025. One area that we had emphasized in the past is the level of reserves at the National Bank, which has been below what we consider adequate by standard metrics. On the positive side, the NBG has made significant purchases in the recent months to replenish the external reserves. Moving to the fiscal side, so the performance has been very strong. The 2024 deficit remained moderate and in line with the budgets, despite the fact that was an election year. For 2025, we expect that the deficit will remain at a similar level. What we've seen so far in terms of the performance of tax revenues and the execution of budget spending and the strong economic performance in the first 4 months of the year indicate that the deficit objective for this year is well within reach. What is also encouraging is the public debt is around 35% of GDP. It remains at moderate levels. Despite this recent economic performance that has been very strong, Georgia, like the global economy in general is subject to unusually high levels of uncertainty. However, the risks that Georgia faces present challenges as well as opportunities. Just to highlight a few of the risks that Georgia faces, these are coming from the global trade tensions, the developments around Russia's war in Ukraine, and the possibility of tighter financial conditions, and the potential for the introduction of new sanctions that could affect Georgia, if this should materialize. Domestically, there have been tensions. There have been tensions around the political situation, so a re-emergence of these tensions could also affect the economic situation in Georgia. The good side is that Georgia has very strong buffers in terms of fiscal space and in terms of the health of the financial system, so is in a good position to weather these risks. Now I would like to move to the policy recommendations. The focus should remain on policies to sustain strong growth, maintain macroeconomic stability, and strengthen resilience. Importantly, despite the strong economic performance over many years in Georgia already, with significant improvement in GDP per capita, there are still some problems. Unemployment and poverty have declined significantly, but they still remain high. In this regard, structural reforms remain essential to sustain growth and ensure that it is more inclusive. Georgia continues to face challenges related to long-term and youth unemployment, low educational outcomes, and productivity gaps, particularly in agriculture. Reforms to strengthen vocational training, land management, and rural labor participation will be key in this regard. Continued investment in infrastructure and improved coordination with regional partners will help bolster competitiveness, and at the same time, reinforcing judicial independence, corporate governance, and anti-corruption institutions will be critical to enhancing the business climate. Regarding monetary policy, we view the current policy stance of the MBG as appropriate, and future policy decisions should remain data-dependent. As mentioned earlier, the MBG should prioritize rebuilding reserves while maintaining exchange rate flexibility. At the same time, there is still some work to do to strengthen the communication of the MBG's monetary policy. And on the governance aspects of the central bank, we welcome recent steps to fill the vacancies at the board of the MBG, and also the appointment of the governor in a permanent capacity. So, however, there is still room to strengthen the governance of the MBG, and we have made some recommendations in this regard. On fiscal policy, again, we see that the current policies are appropriate. The level of the deficit for this year and also for the medium term remain adequate given the strong fiscal position of Georgia. It would be important to continue the efforts in terms of revenue mobilization to allow for increased spending in spending priorities. We also highlight the need to continue building on the progress that has been made on the management of fiscal risks. One area that we covered in our discussion relates to state-owned enterprises. So there has been progress in this area, especially on the oversight by the Ministry of Finance, but there are still some areas that need further progress. For example, on strengthening the corporate governance and separating the state's role in ownership, regulatory, and policy functions. Finally, on the financial sector, the banking system remains healthy, with strong profitability, strong capital levels, good asset quality, but there are some trends that we have seen recently in terms of the for example, consumer credit growth or some activities by non-bank institutions that require continued vigilance. So we don't think that these are systemic risks at this time, but this continued monitoring is important. And maybe to conclude with the overall picture, so Georgia's economy has shown a very strong performance and resilience with sound macroeconomic management, continued reforms, and strong policy frameworks. Georgia is well positioned to maintain growth and navigate external challenges, but there is still work to be done to sustain growth and ensure that this is better shared among the population. We at the IMF remain committed to support Georgia's policies, reforms, and long-term development goals. So there is a dialogue. We discuss many issues on different topics, and so this, there are different perspectives. So we don't always agree on every specific issue. I think this is natural. So there were throughout this time there were some issues in which there was no full agreement, but there has been significant progress even without the program being in place. For example, in terms of maintaining macroeconomic stability, in terms of the improving the health and the oversight of the financial system, on the framework for monetary policy. So there has been a lot of progress. It is ultimately the decision of the governments whether they want to have a program with the IMF or not. And so the last program was what we call precautionary. There were no financial disbursements under the program. So it was meant as a safety net. If risks materialized, this program started at the beginning of the war in Ukraine. So there were very significant risks that in the end did not materialize. So right now, Georgia also is in a strong position in terms of buffers. The reserves remain one vulnerability, but overall the situation in Georgia is very strong. I think the benefit of a program with the IMF is that it facilitates or it enhances the way in which the IMF can support Georgia. If a country has a program, it means that more resources within the IMF are allocated to those countries relative to countries that don't have a program. So there are more missions, there is more technical assistance, the teams are bigger. So there are these type of benefits, and so the IMF can better support the reform program of the country.
More on this week's economic news and outlook.
Fitch Ratings has affirmed Georgia's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating at BB with a negative outlook. The BB rating is supported by Georgia's high level of economic development relative to BB pairs, a credible macro-fiscal policy framework, moderate public debt, and sound banking sector. The real economic growth remains strong in Georgia at 8.8% year-on-year in January-April 2024, owing a strong services sector performance. In Fitch's view, potential growth has been boosted by investments in the information and communication technology, hospitality, transport, and construction sectors. Fitch expects growth of 5.6% in 2025 and 5.2% in 2026, with upside from productivity enhancement. Fitch expects inflation to average 3.2% in 2025 and 2026. The MBG has kept policy rates unchanged at 8% since May 2024 and is unlikely to cut rates given the potential for looser monetary conditions to boost foreign exchange demand. Monetary policy transmission is somewhat considered by high levels of dollarization. Prime Minister Irakli Kobakhidze announced that the ongoing optimization of stock in state-owned enterprises, particularly in the railway and energy sector, has already saved the country 52.5 million lari in 2025, with the process still underway. Optimization has been implemented across several state-owned enterprises, accompanied by leadership changes. Kobakhidze said this process has been particularly impactful in the railway and energy sectors. According to the Prime Minister, Georgian Railway alone will save 36 million lari, while state-owned companies in the energy sector, including Georgian State Electrosystem and Gas Transportation Company, are expected to save at least 16.5 million lari collectively. These savings free up significant resources to support country's development and economic growth, Kobakhidze emphasized, adding that the optimization initiative will extend to other state-owned enterprises beyond the railway and energy sectors. He also highlighted that there is potential for large-scale optimization with legal entities of public law and limited liability companies under state ownership. If this process continues at its current pace, annual savings could exceed 100 million lari, he noted. This was an absolutely necessary step and it's progressing rapidly. The Land Transport Agency announced that January 1, 2026 has been established as the mandatory date for exclusive use of buses for passenger transportation between major cities and routes exceeding 150 kilometers. According to the agency, starting from this data, passenger services between large urban centers and relevant settlements in Georgia located over 150 kilometers apart will be permitted only using vehicle classified as category M3 with the appropriate specifications and seating capacity. The decision was made following comprehensive analysis of sector developments and aims to give carriers additional time to upgrade their fleet and acquire new vehicles of the designated class, the agency explained. As a part of reforms within Georgia's road passenger sector, operators engage in regular domestic and international passenger transportation across the country will gradually be required to obtain license starting in 2024. As of June to 2025, more than 2,400 carriers had already secured permits and the number of applications continued to grow. During the period January-May 2025, Georgian Competition and Consumer Agency registered 504 consumer protection-related complaints, while the number of inquiries received via phone calls totaled to 1,590. Notably, the volume of complaints submitted increased by 45% compared to the same period in 2024. During the reporting period, the Georgian Competition and Consumer Agency identified 50 violations of consumer rights in 81 cases due to non-compliance with obligations imposed by competition agencies. 24 traders were fined in 45 cases, with total penalties amounting to 21,046 lari. For consumer protection, 67 commitment agreements were signed in 73 cases where traders committed to modifying their international business policies and restoring the rights of affected consumers who suffered due to the unfair business practices. In 2025, 70% of applications received by consumers referred to online trading and 30% to the case of purchasing the item on the spot. According to the regions, Tbilisi continues to lead with 78%, followed by Imereti with 5%, Achara 4%, Kakheti 3%, and other regions. Based on 5 months data, the demand for a refund is 169. The repair of defective item is 148. For restoring the right of a defective service, 29. For item delivered within the specified time frame, 23 related to the prohibition of misleading practices, and the rest is 39. According to the statistics, 73% is wholesale and retail sector, transport and warehousing 12%, ， and other activities 15%. 。 Georgian Dream first Vice Prime Minister and Minister of Economy and Sustainable Development Levent Davitashvili delivered an optimistic outlook for Georgia's economy during the opening of Tbilisi Regional Forum for Sustainable Development. In his keynote address, Davitashvili emphasized Georgia's resilience amid global economic uncertainty and highlighted the country's strong macroeconomic fundamentals, policy priorities, and commitment to sustainable development. Georgia has successfully navigated external shocks, maintaining high economic growth and macroeconomic stability. In 2024, GDP growth reached 9.4%, placing Georgia among top-performing economies globally, Davitashvili said. He noted that while the IMF forecasts modest 2025 forecast for Eurozone, USA and slowdown in China, Georgia's own forecast has been revised upward from 6% to 7.2% following the recent IMF consultations. According to our conservative forecast, Georgia will see at least 6% growth in 2025. However, supported by international confidence and revised IMF projections, we expect an even higher figure, Davitashvili stated. In April, the total volume of remittances sent to Georgia increased by 6.1% year-on-year, reaching $295.5 million USD, while the amount of funds transferred from Georgia rose by 4.9%, totaling $31.9 million USD, states the report published by the National Bank of Georgia. According to the NBG, remittances from European Union increased by 13.8% to $132.5 million USD, largely offsetting the decline in remittances from Russia. Remittances from Russia decreased by 18.9% annually, down to $39.9 million USD. Meanwhile, remittances from the United States continued to increase, rising by 16.6%. In April, the EU was the primary source of remittances at 44.8%, followed by the USA at 18.3% and Russia at 13.5%. Notably, among EU countries, Italy contributed a significant share at 70%, followed by Germany at 8.4% and Greece at 8.3%, the National Bank stated.
On May 16, the Tbilisi Airport, Georgia's first branded airport hotel, officially opened its doors at Tbilisi International Airport. The project was realized through French investor John Dodland, Fujian Properties LLC, and the Bank of Georgia. John Dodland's team has fulfilled the key government obligation, delivering the first branded hotel at Tbilisi Airport on time and to high standards. Spanning 4,600 square meters, the hotel features 72 rooms, 24/7 operational restaurant, a wine shop, a gym, and a conference space. It marks the first phase in the development of a larger multifunctional complex covering 39,000 square meters. The hotel operates under the French Hotel Management Group Accor, which manages over 5,500 hospitality properties across 110 countries. With its refined design, Ibis Tbilisi Airport is already being recognized as one of the most distinctive Ibis hotels in the region. Operational since October the 1st, the hotel enhances tourism, transit, and infrastructure services in the area surrounding the airport. With a chance to meet with John Dodland for a brief interview at our Gamrikeli studio. So here is the interview.
So, John, great to have you here with us, finally.
Finally.
Yes.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming over. And I recall our last meeting, maybe business-wise, media-wise meeting was in 2017, am I right?
Incroyable. I think so. I think you're right.
And we talked a lot about business, but actually we talked about art and collection, I remember from that period. And if I remember correctly, it was more about art and passion. I remember that article. So what has changed since then?
A lot of things, but I think when we have met in 2017, I just bought this strategic land at the airport.
That's a year.
I think it was 2017. Right. So last time we have met, I was bidding on this land.
Correct. It was an auction, sort of auction, yeah, bidding, yeah.
Exactly. The genesis of this project, it was a governmental auction
Okay.
with liabilities toward the government.
So, Rytadays, can we say that it was your first major investment in country Georgia, John?
Correct.
Yeah, and it's an Ibis Tbilisi Airport hotel. And when did you decide to make this project happen? Now we recall that it was 2017 or 18 when you bid for the land. But up to the project, how was that?
A lot of things happens, but COVID happens, so it's delayed everything. And this Ibis hotel is just the first milestone of 38,000 square feet that we are able to build. So yeah, it's the first milestone, and we are the only land owner with the government at the airport. So we are participating in the development of the airport with ADP. You know, ADP
Yeah, sure.
is a big French company who operates more than 70 airports globally, and they also operate in Tbilisi.
Correct. John, Ibis Tbilisi Airport is more than hotel. It's a place to live, work, and enjoy themselves. I'm quoting from the things happening around the releases and official statements happening while it was announced and then officially opened. At the same time, it has some absolutely different scope and absolutely different design and concept. Why did you decide to go to a different way, not a simple one, as it usually happens with the hotels near the airports? Okay, near international airports as well. It's just simple block of flats.
Yes, so you know, as you understood, we bought the land, we built it from scratch, the hotel, and we also operate the hotel. So my team and I were very hands-on this project. But our ambition for this Tbilisi Airport Hotel, it's not a traditional transit hotel experience.
Yes, correct.
The scope and concept are designed to reflect the contemporary customers and clients. And let's say the expectation of those new customers are very high today. So we are just following the vision of the CEO of Accor. You know, Accor is one of the big French firm who operates a lot of different brands and hotels.
And your hotel as well?
Yeah, and yes, so we have a strategic partnership with them, but we operate our own hotel.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Accor is not in the management?
Accor is not in the management, correct.
But you're in a partnership?
We are in a partnership because we are following their vision to create a 360 experience for people who usually would stay only one night to stay more. So it's like a full restaurant facilities, retails, car park facilities, also rooms. We also have a gym. Yes. We have some yoga class, etc., etc. So you know, we are just elevating the experience. And indeed, if I quote the Accor management, they say that aesthetically and functionally, our hotel is one of the most advanced.
Well,
globally.
That's coming from Accor.
This is coming from Accor, exactly. We are very proud of this because, you know, I appointed a very famous French architect named Clément Blanchet, who used to be the former partner of Rem Koolhaas, which is one of the top 3 architects in the world. So, you know, keeping the budget, because we are still in a business, keeping the budget, we did I think something great with also an art collection inside, and the design and the architecture. Everything is like extremely elevated and also advanced.
Fantastic. Congrats with that. What was the initial investment in this project, and you are involved with partners, I mean, in your company, or it's just your company with some local financial funds or partners, or how it's formed? Tell me the business form and format of it.
So yes, it's my company, and we have the initial investment to buy the land was coming from me, and today we join effort with Bank of Georgia. So as you know, Bank of Georgia is the leading institution in Georgia, and it's also a company listed among the 200 biggest company listed in UK. We successfully leverage this strategic partnership with them, and I'm very proud of this because Bank of Georgia don't invest anymore in hospitality.
Correct.
In Georgia. But this project is more than hospitality. It's a very strategical move for us and also them because at the airport there is only the government, ADP, and us.
Yeah, triple.
Exactly. So it's a French love story,
So,
ADP, which is a French company, Accor also, which is a French company,
and yourself.
and myself.
Yeah. And here we are Georgians. But all the commitments to the government, it's fulfilled in time and everything. You mentioned in your reports and comments what I've followed, that for you personally it was very important to make everything in timing.
Yeah, we did everything in timing. Everything is fulfilled. So all the liabilities towards the governments are fulfilled. And now we are ready for the next steps of our 38,000 meter square development. I'm sure that you know that ADP, Aéroport de Paris, is investing $120 million for the extension of the current airport. So we will contribute. We are contributing to the development of the airport.
So you will be a part of it, and you will, not as an investor, but as a hotel industry and like that, you will be a part of the infrastructure. Am I right?
Yes, correct. And we are part of the different conversation with the government and Aéroport de Paris, and we will continue. We will continue
with an ADB and TAV itself, yeah.
Correct. So the majority shareholder of TAV is now Aéroport de Paris. So they did a whole rebrand of Aéroport de Paris.
Absolutely, 47% if I remember correctly.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
John, tell me, does that mean that you are still interested in Georgia as a place to invest? And what are your priorities and spheres of your interest? Now you will pay more attention to this 38K plot of land.
Yeah, correct.
To further development. Am I right?
I also own land in Kobe, Gadaori, but for the moment we entirely concentrating our effort on ensuring the current success of this project.
Of this project, yeah.
I can proudly say that because we operate ourselves, we created between 50 to 100 new jobs in this area.
Wow.
And because there is nothing else at the airport, it's surprising, but I think it's one of the latest airports without an airport hotel and facilities around. And as you know, Georgia is a 3.7 million citizen country, but you are hosting more than 7 million tourists this year.
Annually,
and there is a growth. So to give you a perspective, it's more that rationally, the ratio is higher in Georgia than in France.
John, I followed some of your comments, and you were saying that just in the beginning of the hotel operating, the occupancy rate is already quite high, and you didn't expect that the occupation will be from the very beginning such on a high rate. Is it still going, and how was the start of the hotel itself?
Yes, the start is successful. I think this month we are reaching a 64% occupancy rate.
Congrats, John. For the start, it's very good.
Thank you. For the start,
I know
it's very
we need
good.
more and more, but for the start, it's very good.
Yeah, no, it's very good. It's very good. And despite the crisis and despite a lot of different things, I see Georgia. I see the value that brings Georgia in the Silk Road countries, exactly like the value that brings Switzerland in Europe. So I really believe in Georgia in the short term,
long term as well.
In long term as well, exactly.
Tell me about and share some business activities and your future plans. You said that at least in Georgia, you're going to be fully focused on the airport hotel infrastructure development together with ADB and other stakeholders who are involved there. Around 120 million investment
Correct.
happening from the French investors in Tbilisi International Airport. But can we consider yourself as an entrepreneur, who is investing in various directions worldwide? And are you still art collector as well or not?
I have other day-to-day activities in Europe. I am running art and tech venture, but my approach is keenly focused on identifying opportunities where I can truly bring values. And specifically in Georgia, my future plan involve to focus on the development of the airport and also the overlands that I purchased a couple of years ago.
Good luck, John, and hope to see you soon. And it's not going to be the same big pause for the years what we used to have before this interview.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Good luck.
Irakli Rukhadze, the owner of Liberty Bank, expressed optimism about the possible acquisition of Liberty by Bazisbank, stating that it completed the deal would benefit Georgia's economy and its banking sector. The news follows a report by BMG which cited sources claiming the acquisition is likely to be finalized in the coming weeks. Rukhadze emphasized that while negotiations with Bazisbank have been ongoing for months, not all terms of the deal are finalized. Talks are continuing and there is no certainty yet about the outcome of timeline. Nothing new actually happened yesterday, but the Georgian media reacted strongly. We've been in talks with Bazisbank for a long time. I'm more optimistic now than before, but that doesn't guarantee the deal will happen, Rukhadze said. He explained that if the merger goes through, the combined entity would become the third largest bank in Georgia, significantly larger than the current third-place bank. This increased scale would allow it to participate in larger loan markets and compete more effectively with the two dominant players which currently monopolize such opportunities, according to Rukhadze. If completing, this will change a lot. Smaller banks like us and Bazisbank are limited in how much we can lend. This merger would enable real competition within the two leading banks, which is good for the economy overall, Rukhadze noted. He also mentioned that if the negotiations with Bazisbank do not result in a deal, Liberty is open to exploring other potential partners. Rukhadze concluded by clarifying that under current legislation, systemic banks like TBC and Bank of Georgia cannot be acquired. What else was new in business this week? Natia Taktakishvili has the details.
Le Méridien Batumi declares that the hotel's load rate has increased. As Nona Shotadze, the sales director of the company, told BMG TV, demand was high even in the low season. And a large part of the vacationers, along with locals, are guests from Israel and Turkey. Demand at the hotel is growing. We are working with much higher occupancy when in the low season. Most of them are locals as well as tourists from Europe and Asia. Bookings are increasing from both high seasons, both groups and individuals. We managed to keep customers from traditional markets. We cannot say that the share of Europe has decreased. It's about the same as before. Let's see what will happen in summer. Given the current situation, prices are increasing in the market, Shotadze said. Le Méridien Batumi is a 5-star hotel and boasts 105 rooms with stunning Black Sea views. Guests can take a dip in an indoor swimming pool, work out at the on-site fitness center and relax in sauna. A garden as well as sun terrace are at guest disposal. Property also offers a casino. Chateau Marani reopens with a renewed focus amid industry challenges after a 4 months post. Chateau Marani, focused by Georgi Ushikishvili, officially reopened its doors on May 15. Located in the heart of Georgia's wine region, its temporary closure was a strategic decision made in response to the current conditions in the country and widespread booking cancellations. It was not an easy choice, Ushikishvili told BMG TV, but it was necessary to protect the team and the long-term stability of the business. Skilled staff are incredibly hard to find in our region, and we have focused on preserving our core talent. Like many in the hospitality sector, Chateau Marani has seen a dramatic shift in demand. Compared to the same period last year, the hotel reports an 80% decrease in workload, largely due to a steep drop in European and Eastern European visitors, who once formed the backbone of the guest list. We have received numerous messages from long long-time partner agencies in Europe, explaining that bookings have been put on hold due to the ongoing uncertainties, Ushikishvili said. Eastern European tourism was already lower last summer, and this year it's almost completely gone. Despite low occupancy, Chateau Marani remains committed to quality over quantity. While our resources are reduced, our focus is on maintaining the high standards and personalized services we are known for. This is not the time to talk about expansion, it's about staying resilient and keeping our promise to guests, Ushikishvili said. Room rate remained competitive. We can stay in a standard room which breakfast is priced at 220 lari, while weekday stay ranges from 130 to 140 lari. A new artisan boulangerie Vardo has opened on Yakov Nikoladze Street in Tbilisi. The project was inspired by the founder Salome Bejashvili's grandmother's old house, which grew into a multi-concept family business under the umbrella of Vardo Group. The idea began with my grandmother's small traditional Tbilisi house, Bejashvili said. Although there was considerable interest in building a large multi-story property on the site, our memories were more valuable for us. We chose to renovate the house and preserve its old interior. That space now includes a boulangerie, a catering service, and family-run boutique hotel, and soon a bar called Drink Vardo set to open on the Alta Street within the next month. As for the name, Bejashvili explained it was an easy decision. Vardo was my grandmother's name, so we did not think much, and we all loved spending time in her house. The name felt natural. Boulangerie Vardo specialized in European-style artisanal products, offering a menu that includes sandwiches, freshly baked breads, pastries, salads, and other products. The menu will be regularly updated and expanded with new items. Bejashvili emphasizes that the business is a family effort, with each member contributing according to their strengths. Vardo Group's plans to offer delivery services throughout the city, while the group already has a catering service in various regions of Georgia. Bejashvili looks to the future with hope. Our plans are ambitious. Although the first branch just opened, I am hopeful we'll expand and open new locations soon, she said. Kazbegi Inn Cottages is expanding. The founder of the facility, Ani Suaridze, announced this on the BMG TV. The company has decided to expand its infrastructure and add 2 new cottages. We are adding 2 more new cottages, and we hope to receive more vacationers in about a month, Suaridze says. Currently, Kazbegi Inn Cottages combines 3 cottages which are designed for families and tourist groups. The new cottage will have 1 bedroom in addition. At this stage, we can host 23 people. After adding the new cottage, it will be possible to receive up to 30 guests, the founder of the tourist facility noted. Prices currently range from 250 lari to 600 lari, depending on the season and the number of guests. The cost of the new cottage will be different from the existing ones, although the price will depend on demand. Kazbegi Inn Cottage has been operating for more than 2 years. We have 25% increase in sales this year compared to the first quarter of the last year. Mikhail Jigladze, founder of Georgian natural honey producing company Hobby, spoke to BMG about this. According to him, demand is growing from year to year. As the founder of the company says, in 2021, when they first appeared on the market, their sales amounted 2 tons of honey annually, and in 2024 the company sold 60 tons of honey and received more than $500,000 lari in revenue. In 2023 our revenue amounted 280,000 lari, and in 2024 we have already exceeded $500,000 lari. In addition, it's noteworthy that this year has also started at a particularly good pace. Jigladze stated Hobby is actively represented in the local market. The company's honey is sold in chain stores including Orinabiji, Fresco, Universam, Everproduct, and Madagoni, as well as in several small stores. The company offers customers both traditional and non-traditional packaging honey. According to the Mikhail Chigladze, demand is growing due to the trust and product quality. Our honey undergoes strict quality control, and this is what creates trust with customers. Buying honey from us is related to quality and which directly affects sales, he said. Despite the fact that the company has high interest from abroad, they are still focused on the local market. The company currently owns 1,200 beehives, which are located in high mountainous villages of Oracha and Imereti. It gives the product unique taste. Local herb and vegetable producer company Herbia is expanding its business. The company plans to invest $2.5 million in the construction of a new greenhouse. At the company founder Zurab Chanelidze told BMG TV the project is being implemented within the framework of SEED's greenhouse support program, and after the construction of the new greenhouse, production will increase by 20%. Within the framework of this program, we have started construction of a greenhouse on 1 hectare. We want to increase our productivity by another 20% this year, noted Zurab Chanelidze. The founder of the company notes that currently they cannot meet consumer demand, so stable development is important for Herbia. Today we cannot fully meet demand because consumers demand new products. Hotel chains ask us to constantly supply our products, but we are not ready for this yet. We are only suppliers of chain markets. As a result of the increase in production, we will move directly into this segment, and this will be the interesting for our customers, noted Zurab Chanelidze. Herbia began its activities in 2006 and became one of the leading producers of herbs and vegetables grown in greenhouse Herbia. Greenhouses are located on 35 hectares in Zaltovo and Baghdati. Mukuzani wine cellar plans to double its annual production as the company's chief winemaker, Vako Katamadze, told BMG TV the enterprise produced up to 50,000 bottles of wine per year. Until now, this year, the figure is expected to increase to 100,000 bottles. According to him, the growth in productivity is due to the increased demand from export markets and the potential for adding new ones. In order to increase productivity, we have retooled winery completely. The need for this was determined by the increased demand for exports and the addition of new markets, Katamadze said. It was worth noting that the company's wine are already sold in Europe and Japan, while negotiations are underway with Korea and Africa. According to the company, sales growth is also planned for the US market. Mukuzani wine cellar appeared on the market in 2016. The company owns 10-hectare wineries in Mukuzani Gurjani district and several brands including Mukuzani wine cellar, Lomiauri Estate and Escargot. On April 15, 2025, the winery opened a sampling room and wine museum in the village of Mukuzani.
The European Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee adopted a detailed report assessing Georgia's political trajectory between 2023 and 2024, with 55 members backing the document, 14 opposing and 4 abstaining. The report underscores growing alarm in Brussels over the country's democratic regression. Here are some Georgian voices that have been heard.
Once again, I want to say that our fight is peaceful, determined and courageous. We are very strong in our commitment to democracy and Georgia's European future. And we are ready and we are very much strong defending fundamental freedoms, the right to speak, to vote, to associate, to live without fear to repression. So for many months, Georgian people and Georgian civil society, of course, advocating for the support to Georgia and Georgian people.
Maybe we cannot teach you how the a modern state building works or whatever, but we feel under our skin when the Russians are coming. We all understand that we are not fighting. And this is not just a political crisis. This is fight against the Russian imperialism. This is fight against the Putinism. And because of that, the Georgians and the Ukrainians sacrificing for idea of having the Europe-Poland free at peace. We hope and we're looking forward to European Union also stands stronger in their beliefs and the values. And otherwise, without the unity and the solidarity, we cannot defeat all kind of authoritarianism and especially the Russian imperialism in the world.
Georgian people are fighting. Georgian people are fighting out in the streets for more than 200 days now, and Georgian people are ready to fight again for freedom and independence and for European-style democracy. So we want to ask Europe once again for support. We appreciate a lot whatever has been done already in the European Parliament and Commission, but we want even more. More support to Georgian people and more harsh treatment of our authorities, who really deserve sanctions and even more.
This week, U.S. Ambassador Robin Dunnigan released a statement noting that she is resigning on her own personal decision. After 33 years representing the United States as a diplomat, I have made the personal decision to retire. Serving as the U.S. Ambassador to Georgia has been the greatest honor and privilege of my entire career, and I will forever be proud of the work the tremendous U.S. government team in Washington and here at the U.S. Embassy in Tbilisi has done to advance the partnership between our peoples and our countries. This is a fully personal decision. I have not been asked to return by my government. My family and I have been blessed to have experienced the incredible generosity and warmth of the Georgian people, no matter where we have traveled in this amazingly beautiful country. We have been welcomed with unparalleled Georgian hospitality. We have admired the heart, soul, and passion of all Georgians. I am more certain today than ever that the core values that bind Americans and Georgians will ensure that our special partnership and friendship endures. I will continue to work hard to strengthen our ties until I depart in July, Robin Dunnigan said. She most recently served as the Deputy Assistant Secretary responsible for Central and Eastern Europe in the Bureau of European and Eurasian Affairs, a career member of the Senior Foreign Service with the rank of Minister Counselor. Ambassador Dunnigan joined the State Department in 1992. She previously served as the Charge d'Affaires and Deputy Chief of Mission of the U.S. Embassy in Austria and as the Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Department of State Bureau of Energy Resources. Ambassador Dunnigan has served as United States embassies in Vietnam, Chile, Turkey, Cuba, and El Salvador. In Washington, Ambassador Dunnigan's assignments, including Director for the Office of Europe, the Western Hemisphere, and Africa in the Energy Bureau, as well as positions in the Bureau of Near Eastern Affairs and in the Office of the Secretary of State. Ambassador Dunnigan is a distinguished graduate of the National War College, where she earned a Master of Science in National Security Strategy with distinction. She also received a Master of Science in Foreign Service from Georgetown University and a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from the University of California at Berkeley. Ambassador Dunnigan speaks Spanish as well as some German and Turkish. She is married with 2 children. The Checkpoints wishes good luck to Ambassador Dunnigan in her future endeavors. And this was the last news for today. We will meet next Sunday, but before that, stay tuned on BMG. We work 24/7 for you.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.